with VashtiBeauty. In tonight's video, I'm excited because the objective is that we would have a greater appreciation for our own hair. We'd be able to analyze our hair, and the point of analyzing our own hair is that we can do perfect hair care according to how we want to wear our hair hat. It's the artistic expression of ourselves. And if I can empower you to analyze your hair and love not only the skin you were given by mom and dad, but also the hair that you were given by mom and dad. There is a misnomer out there that hair is completely different biochemical material based on ethnicity or heritage, based on the color of your skin or the texture of your hair. And that's not true. Hair is across the human race. Well, I'm very careful not to say, there's one race. It's human race, is made 98% all the same. Why 98% is because less than 2% of the globe has red hair, and red hair is a phenomenon. Red hair is a mutation of melanin, and we have both pheomelanin, eumelanin that creates brown or blonde or red hair. So that's all over every human being. Keratin, sulfur, the makeup of the oils and the fats that create the body of the hair, the keratinization, the function of the hair follicle. There is still a plethora of unanswered questions about these thousands of follicles, and we're going to specifically talk about the ones on our head. Every single follicle on your head is an organ. It's an organ. There are many components from the delivery of blood to the pushing up the growth cycle of the keratin and the hardening of the keratin, the keratinization, and these phases. In beauty school, we teach currently 3 phases, but in trichology, there is actually a theory of 5 phases of the hair growth, of the hair life, that one hair in that one hair follicle. 5 phases, so that it can push through the uppermost layer of the skin, the epidermis, and expose its beautiful texture. And texture can be both how it feels individually, fine, medium, or thick, and texture is expressed in the shape of the hair. So the individual fine, medium, thick, the shape of the hair, and we can manipulate visually texture through color. And that's a whole lot that I've shared, and a whole lot right there to love, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, even at the papilla level, that little black bulb that you pull out and you see and like, oh, I think this one was still alive. Anything below the skin is alive. Once it emerges out of that epidermis, it's dead. And that's why it doesn't hurt when you have a haircut. So, our hair density and texture, and even the porosity is going to be determined by who made you, your environment, where you live, what you consume, what's your health like, and also what your mental health is like, because it will all show up in the hair. You can experience hair loss, premature balding, and I've dealt with 12-year-olds, mostly 11 and 12-year-olds with alopecia. That's stress. And they go bald, and then it comes back when they stop thinking so intensely of whatever is stressing them out. And hormones will affect the density of hair, whether you are becoming a teenager, and that's something I've seen in the 25 years of being behind the chair. It mostly affects young men when they enter into the threshold of testosterone. I've had a lot of straight-haired young guys when I worked in a barbershop. All of a sudden they've got this curly hair, and that is totally because of hormones. I've also seen that happen with menopausal women who will all of a sudden get curly hair. So your hormones are also affected. It comes through your thyroid. So people with thyroid issues will also experience hair loss and maybe even a slowdown on hair growth. So I alluded to the three things, and that is your density, porosity, and texture. These are the things that need to be analyzed and looked at when you are deciding how to style your hair and even buying the products to maintain your hair. Density means how many hairs per square inch. So, and it is determined kind of specifically throughout by hair color. The least amount of hair per square inch actually belongs to redheads. So, looking at this disc here, and I took one little square inch, it's like how many hairs are within that square inch. Redheads will have less, naturally, in a redhead world, will have less hairs per square inch. It's not very dense. And when I do clipper cuts on young redheaded boys, the little ginger boys, it looks instantly like they're bald over that head because it's not very dense. But typically, not typically, I'll get straight and curly textured hair in redheads. But one thing that is so cool about red hair, when I say 98% have the same DNA makeup of hair, you know, that structure, it's that other 2% belongs to redheads. And redheads is a mutation of the eumelanin that creates red hair. And redheaded people have sulfur that lives closest to the outside of the cuticle. I know it's like oogly boogly, but it's so fantastic to know how special redheads really are. And they're not concentrated in Ireland. It's actually a concentration in Scotland. So you see more redheaded Scottish people. So less density here. And then we have a medium to thick density in your brown and black hair. And you'll actually get the thickest density found in the human race in your blonde hair. Blonde hair has both eumelanin and pheomelanin, making your blonde and brown hair. And brown and black hair is eumelanin. And again, red hair has a mutation of eumelanin in the hair. So the density is an important factor, not only in picking your products, but when we take a step back and look at hair and how we are created and what its job is pragmatically, it is to keep us warm. That's its job, to keep us warm. But as humans, we're very curious, we're very expressionate, and we're going to manipulate it in cutting and styling, whether it's a wet style or a heat style, coloring, whether we are covering, enhancing, lightening, brightening, or deepening. That is all going to be affected in your product choices because of the density of the hair. So if you have fine hair, individually fine, then you're typically going to need less product, whether it's shampoo or hair color in use. And that's something we have to think about as artists, licensed artists behind the chair. And because if you put your hand over my head, I'm very warm off the top of my head. My body's always making body heat because I don't have very much hair in density at all. It's very fine. But I can make an illusion based on hair color. If you have medium to thick hair, then behind the chair or covering gray hair, you might require a stronger developer because your hair is thicker, more compact, and you need more of the oxygen to develop not only the hair color, but even to just open and move the hair cuticle. So in previous videos, I talked to you about the hair structure, and so we're going to talk and understanding the hair structure. Okay, so we've got density, how much hair per square inch, how it affects what our choices are in our shampoos and conditioners. Then we have porosity. Porosity is in the hair structure going to be determined by the cuticle, right? So as a recap, this is a hair shaft. The outside of the hair shaft has a cuticle layer that lays like the scales of a fish or the bark of a tree. And what it does is it protects the cortex. And in the cortex is a lot of the strength of the hair, the body of the hair. It requires the moistures and the fat, and this is what the cuticle is doing. It is also protecting the keratin. The cuticle of the hair is typically colorless. All of your eumelanin, pheomelanin, and keratin is in this cortex middle layer. And if your hair is in texture, thick or fine, how many layers of cuticle you have, that is important to know as well. A closed cuticle, a more compact cuticle, will reflect, see as I close it, light better. So in my fringe here, it's been shined up, flat iron, sealed, and it creates more shine. So we can address the texture in how we wear the hair. Porosity, that cuticle, is how much water that hair and how quickly it will absorb. Right? A lot of porosity, and then a little bit of porosity. That too is going to determine the power of our products, whether it's a conditioning agent or a chemical agent to shift your hair color. So let's dive deeper into texture of hair. I want you to know that texture is two things. It is the fine, medium, or thick of the individual hair, right? How much cuticle layer there is, that's texture. The other thing about texture is the shape and pattern. So the curl, the coil, the wave, or the lack of wave in your hair. So texture is also analyzed visually. So you can see visually, I have two textures on my hairstyle now. I have a sleek, smooth texture, and that reflects more light naturally. And then I have curly hair, and wherever it's curly, the light doesn't bounce as reflective like I had shown here, right? If I have this hair shaft, my model curled, it doesn't reflect light as streamlined, but if I close it, you can see it just bounce off perfectly. One thing you need to know in picking your products for curly hair clients, right? Everywhere there's a bend in your coils and your waves and your curls, there's less bonds. So it tends to be more fragile there. So I'm going to pick products that is going to protect the hair. I'm going to pick hairstyles that is also going to respect and protect the hair from breakage. So this has been a really fun video, and these are the things I want you to consider when you're analyzing your own hair. Consider how thick it is individually and per square inch. How much do you have, right? And also determine the porosity. If it absorbs water or absorbs your color so quickly and then vanishes within 3 shampoos, you know that you have very porous hair. What it means is it's thirsty. So now I've got to address protein and moisture products. And then the other thing is your desired style when you're doing the texture. So what kind of style will respect my hair more often, especially if my hair goal is long hair. So I should be picking hairstyles that require a whole lot of heat. So there are 3 major damages to the hair, and the number one thing that breaks our hair is when we are combing it while it's wet, because it'll stretch further and you can break it more easily while it's wet. So it's important to do it with conditioner, fingers, a large comb. So combing your hair while it's wet is the harshest thing you can do to your hair. The second harshest thing is heat. So you're heating up the cuticle to create that design line and that style, but you're also can be wearing off the cuticle. So it's important to put a protective styler, whether you do it before you blow dry and prior to your hot tool, protection against that heat. And then the third thing that causes damage to hair is chemical. So if the third thing that can cause damage to the hair, and that's because we have to go in, open up the cuticle, put in our color, move yours around, and then seal the cuticle. And but you know what? It's the third thing. So I say color away. Especially if you decide that a hair hat for you is short hair, I said play with the hair colors. So hopefully tonight you are in 2020 during COVID-19 and enjoying my hair model and my extra hand here and the appreciation for different textured hair. The next time you shop for your favorite hair product, you'll consider you first. Remember, it's all about density, texture, and porosity. I'm always available. Direct message me. Let me know if you want me to analyze your hair, help you along the way, and even prescribe some of my favorite products. Talk to you soon.